Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, July 21st until the 25th. But before I get into this week's physical releases, I have a pre-announcement to make. I know gamers love announcements of announcements, and I'm joining that party because tomorrow, Tuesday, at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and 8 p.m. in the UK, I have an exclusive reveal coming for a new physical release on Nintendo Switch. It's a game that's coming soon, it's an import exclusive, and it's one of those that Nintendo of America and Europe have banned from their stores due to their new guidelines. So, please be here on Tuesday for the full reveal. It'll only be a short one, and I'll see you then. Alright, this week's games. No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI, the Somnium files, is releasing this week on Nintendo Switch 1 as a proper physical cartridge, but as a game key on Nintendo Switch 2. Boo! Not that there's much difference between the two versions, you might as well buy the Switch 1 edition even if you have a Switch 2. I played this for like over 2 hours at this point, which you'll know if you watch my video about it, and it's pretty good. It was my first in the series. Didn't feel like I was missing any crucial information regarding the previous two titles. If you want an escape room type thing with a decent budget behind it, then go for it. I'm sure you will enjoy it. And my executive producers Sora Cat, Alexander Casto, Ghost Bune, Adamantium, Thorn Metaluna, and Michael Del Polito have chosen this as their pick of the week. Fading Afternoon is releasing in Europe this week on Nintendo Switch in an uncensored edition, which includes explicit scenes, gambling, and blood amongst other stuff. This is a cool as hell game from the same dude who brought you Friends of Ringo Ishikawa and The Arrest of a Stone Buddha. Same type of thing, reminds me of some of the Kunio-kun games if they were a bit more 80s gangster, darker. I'm quite happy something like this is coming and that VGP will be carrying it even though it is a European exclusive. And my executive producers, Dave Huswaite, Louis K, and Radio to Rancid, have chosen this as their pick of the week. And if you want it, or any of the retail games in this video, then please consider purchasing via the links in the description and pinned comment. That massively helps me out, this series, this channel, to keep producing useful physical content for you guys. VGP are a really good company, and they have free worldwide shipping on orders over 75 Canadian bucks, which is like 54 American dollars. Plus, each week, if you buy something, you are put into a draw to have a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon. And this week's winner is Laurent LM. Congratulations, you should get an email from VGP with your discount coupon if you haven't already. Thank you and everyone else for your support. Ed and Edda Grand Prix Racing Champions is releasing in Europe this week. No sign of a North American release as far as I've seen, which I'm not surprised since it's based off a German animation that is a tie-in to a theme park. This is as specific as things get. Personally, I am outraged there's no Alton Towers animation video game, although that might just be about leg amputations thanks to underpaid part-time teenagers operating the rides. Anyways, this is a racing game, one would assume. Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars Reforged is releasing in Europe this week, at least it should be. It's been delayed long enough, almost a year since it was announced and pre-orders were taken. Sadly, North America will have to wait until September, but it will be worth the wait because if you've not played Broken Sword before, well, you should. It's one of the kings of the genre, point-and-click goodness, now looking better than ever. See where George Stobart started his investigative adventures with the first game in the series, and the new one is coming in the near future too, so I'm looking forward to that. And my executive producer, Brent McLean, has chosen this as his pick of the week. And Magnolia is releasing in Europe this week at retail. It's been out in Japan and Asia for a good while now, and Limited Run recently had pre-orders for the North American edition. So I'm not going to talk about this long. All I'm going to say is it's a fantastic Metroidvania, and if you don't own it already, you should. If you live in Europe, it's your perfect opportunity to grab it now. And also on PS5. And my executive producers, Big Bruno, Dane Wilkinson, Ishin, and Robotech have chosen this as their pick of the week. Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV is releasing on Nintendo Switch 2 this week. Hot off the heels of Donkey Kong, feels like some accountant at Nintendo was busting a nut trying to get this out as soon as possible because of how well the series has started to sell these days. Mario Kart, big money. Mario Party, big numbers. Personally, this is the point of the console where you need to get new people on board, and I think Mario Party is better when the user base is already established, but there is a reason I'm an ESL teacher stealing a living and not the president of Nintendo. Tangents aside, this includes the base Jamboree game, which is already on the Switch 1, as well as Jamboree TV, the add-on for all your gimmicky iToy inspired goodness. And my executive producers, JCross7776 and Josh Foote, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Nintendo Switch 2 is also getting Wild Hearts S as a game key, and WWE 2K25 as a code-in-a-box bullshit. Alright, let's jump into the low-print limited releases. Fast Striker EX is a new physical release from NG Dev. As far as we know, this will only be available on their website, NG Dev Direct, and they are taking pre-orders for this on Saturday. Yes, it's a small company. Pretty sure it's just a dude doing it from his garage in Germany, which I very much admire. It's coming in a standard edition, as well as a limited edition. There's not going to be many in the first run, but I believe the dev they do reprints of standard editions if there is demand. It's just a bit hit and miss. This was originally developed as an aftermarket Neo Geo MVS title, before making its way to the Dreamcast and then modern consoles. Supposedly not their best effort, but I am a sucker for pre-rendered visuals in shooters, and so this looks like something I would go for. And my executive producers, Nerdy Sean and Instacritic, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Vigil, The Longest Night is Super Rare's latest game, which is quite funny to say considering they announced they were doing this years and years ago, but somehow it failed to materialize. However, it's been re-announced as their next game. It's a Metroidvania, which I think, all those years ago it would have created a frenzy, but now with the wealth of options on the Switch, it's just another solid addition to the massive Switch library. On Thursday, be there, okay? There'll only be 4,000 copies available, shipping in September, and I think it will sell out pretty sharpish, so yeah. My executive producers, Cookie Kid, Old Man Murphy, Vast Neon, and Jake Vav have chosen this as their pick of the week. Freddi Fish Collection is Limiteron's first game in this episode, and it is a 5-game collection of edutainment games that may be familiar with North Americans. I'm not sure if these games were ever installed on British school computers. I was too busy playing that endless helicopter game to pay attention to what else was on there. But one of these games is already included on the Humongous Games collection, but it's a first release on the Switch for the other 4. Just like the last release, it is quite expensive. You can pre-order it now on Switch or PS5, and my executive producer Jennifer M has chosen this as her pick of the week. Berserk Boy is their second game in this episode, and it's a questionable one. Red Out Games have taken pre-orders for this one in Europe for a while now. This is kind of late to the party, same cover art and that. The game is a really solid action game, an old school action platformer, fast paced. Mega Man fans will probably enjoy it too, and there was plenty of excitement when the digital release came out, so I think if you didn't already own the Red Out Games version, then you may want to look at the limited run version, which you can pre-order on Switch and PS5 on Tuesday. And my executive producer, Super Ben Julio, has chosen this as his pick of the week. Alright, let's jump into the imports. Yes, Play Asia territory. If you want to import any of these, you can do so via the Play Asia links below and get 5% off with my code Jordan2025. And also, you might be able to pre-order some of them from VGP as well. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1 is releasing physically this week. The English Asian version, that is, the one exclusive to Play Asia, at least the standard edition. The limited edition is a couple of weeks off still. This is the only route the game could go after being rejected by Nintendo of the West due to its new guidelines that no publisher dares to explain for fear, but when there's Asia to the rescue, it's not so bad. I am not a fan of the series per se, but I don't think games should be banned, so hopefully this is successful, and I'm pretty sure it will be since the limited edition sold out after a month. But they did get some back, maybe from cancelled orders or something like that, so you can still grab the limited edition as I'm writing this. It is a JRPG, so if you're a JRPG collector, it is one to have. The second game is hot on its tails, coming later this year. Last I heard, they're not completely set on doing the third game for whatever reason, but I do think it's likely. And my executive producers, Danielle O, Surfacing for Air, Dave Horwath, and Kevin W, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Aooni I think I said that right this time. This is releasing in Japan this week, only in a collector's edition, and it will have English. Apparently this game will be a bit of a blast from the past for some people out there. When I mentioned it last, it awakened memories thought lost. An RPG Maker horror game that gained a cult following. It's back with more content and polish, even though it still looks like an RPG Maker game. Actually, this appears to be a double pack, 2 games in 1. Very nice, and my executive producer Wixit has chosen this as his pick of the week. Azure Striker Gunvolt Trilogy Enhanced is releasing in Japan and Asian regions this week. This is a triple pack of the Gunvolt games that have been remade or enhanced with new features, quality of life, stuff, things you got in the 3rd game, now in the first 2, something like that. I don't think I've played any of these games before, but it's pretty cool to have, even though they've been released before. There was a double pack of 1 and 2, and a singular release of 3 in their original renditions, but this triple pack has the enhanced versions, and it plays in English. And my executive producers, Jeddah Crow, they got a resin, G Bautista 100, and the Nemo 6 have chosen this as their pick of the week. La storia della Arcana Famiglia Rinato. I'm feeling so Italian right now. This is an old-ass otomige from 2011 on the PSP, but in 2025, this week, it will finally get its official English translation on Nintendo Switch. The physical release is in Japan and Asia, and there's a standard and collector's edition. It's an otome with a gangster premise, a striking art style. Looks like it could be decent. Apparently you can even name your pet in the game, therefore it is the best VN ever. MatchMaker Agency is releasing in Asia this week. A Japanese release should follow a few months later, but both have English, and this is a management style game. It says pretty much, on the tin. Alongside the awful character artwork, genuinely terrible modern crap, but maybe the gameplay is alright. Who knows? And my executive producers, Cartoon Soren and D's Nuts, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Universe for Sale and Akupara Action Pack are both releasing in Japan this week after already releasing in other Asian regions before, and they both have English. Japan is also getting these games, 2 of which do not have English, the last of which we already got anyway. Alright, before we get into the community spotlight, if you are new here, or maybe you're not the kind to normally do so, please do subscribe, okay? Because the bigger this channel is, the more publishers will pay attention to the demand for physical media. I want to get to 30,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'm almost there, but I need your support, okay? And the industry needs your support too, okay? Alright, the community spotlight. Rancid Games sent in this photo with Guardians of Zuma, as well as the secret edition of Shadow Labyrinth. I guess we'll never know what's inside it, you secretive sausage. Executive producer Daniel O sent in this photo picking up Super Rare's Terra Memoria, probably going to be more collectible in the future compared to the Asian one. Reploid Socks picked up the Japanese physical release of Patapon. I wonder if anyone will actually get their hands on the European version. It seems harder to get for some reason. Jesse F. I would like to congratulate VGP for somehow defying the laws of space and reality by fitting that Tony Hawk Collector's Edition into that delivery box. Well done. Sake Dup sent in this photo. They managed to snag Wild Frost from the very weird situation where VGP had like 40 super rare games releases. I don't know which reality I stepped into there. Alex T sent in this photo with a top line of culture and a bottom line of class. It's classy culture all round. Stefan N sent in this photo with the recent Asian release of this anniversary edition of Snow Bros, which I actually got myself. I haven't opened it yet, but I believe the DLC stuff inside is a code, like a download code, rather than on the cartridge, but Stefan, let me know about that. Executive producer Kevin W sent in this photo of 2 very different video game representations of law enforcement. I think I'd prefer to live in neither universe. Executive producer G Bautista 100 sent in this photo picking up Atelier Yumiya and rocking it on the Switch 2, which it is much better there. Executive producer Feek sent in this photo with some fantastic imports, well, apart from the Dominus collection, but that will have an import version in the near future, and it looks great. Executive producer Cartoon Soren sent in this photo picking up the Korean version of Octopath Traveler 1, which I think that has the best art of all the Octopath games. You can only get that version in Korea, I think. Burning Kitsune Mask sent in this photo as they picked up Samurai Maiden, a pretty fun, solid action game that lives up to its publisher. If you know, you know. It's just a shame it's so expensive. Executive producer Jennifer M sent in this photo picking up the Korean version of the Grandia HD collection, which I believe Play Asia had for like $35 or something. Essential at that price. Executive producer Vei, my man in Japan, picked up the 3rd volume of the Irem collection, which is the best one yet in my opinion, and I am excited to see what they've got in store for volume 4. Cresselac sent in this photo with the Farland Saga, which sadly does not have English, but boy do I wish it did. I would eat that up all day long. The One managed to sneak in a photo of the DK game Bonanza. I'm definitely going to pick this up at some point, but it would help if it's also good to play with my daughter. Like, she's 7, is there anything in it for her as we play together? Let me know. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo with Mizuchi. I know Instacritic likes his obscure stuff, and boy is that a reach into the import-exclusive obscureness depth thing. Executive producer Lewis K sent in this photo with Steam Hearts. I think there is a lot of disappointment around that release. It should be awesome, but the execution in this Switch release was cowardly, shall we say? Executive producer Dave Horworth sent in this photo with the Asian English import of Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. I'm surprised that wasn't more popular than it was. Yeah, it's pricey, but it's Monster Rancher. Alright, let's have a roundup. Paul S. Franco F. Bent S. Lost Dommy. Habs. Devil Angel. Robin H. Andrew R. 2001 4. Illogicool. Brian G. Cultured Weeb. McLaren. Twig E. Theo. Peter C. Starvey. Miami Heat Fan 2003. Choco Loco James. Alright, if you want to send your photos in, the details are on the screen right now. Special thanks, as always, to my executive producers over on Patreon. Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Brent McLean, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Punky Newstar, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Thorn Metal Luna, Vey, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Alex M, Feig, Josh Foot, Ishin, Lewis K, Kevin W, Jennifer M, Super Ben Julio, Double Dave, Husway and Horworth, Wixit, Sora Cat, The Nemo 6, Ghost Bune, G Bautista 100, Rose, Adamantium, Azureth, Jake Vav, D's Nuts, Jeddah Crow, Brotorius, Surfacing for Air, Justin PDC, Vast Neon, Cookie Kid, Radio Torrance, Daniel O, Switch Effect, Old Man Murphy, Cabba Clabber Call, Nerdy Sean, Ligma, Michael Del Polito, and Big Bruno. If you want to join them, the Patreon link is down in the description right at the bottom. It's the Let's Get Physical producer role. Alongside the perks for Physical Paradise, you also get my content for my other channel, A Bit More Jordan, the retro adventure stuff. I've got something coming, like today or tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, Tuesday, my exclusive reveal of a new Nintendo Switch physical release, and it's gonna be an interesting one, shall we say. So I'll see you guys there. Take care.